Hi, this is Larissa Tormi. You're all invited to join me on the stage of 2RR Theatre 2nd of December at 8 p.m. Tickets are available at tourart.ie and cost 18 euros plus booking fees. I'm going to be joined on the stage with James Kilbane and Rachel Good. Can't wait to see you. Hello, everybody. You're very welcome to a new edition of My Music and My Story show. Today's guest is James Kilbane. He is now a multi-platinum selling Christian gospel, country and Irish folk singer. James Kilbane was the runner-up in Ireland's national talent television show You a Star in 2003-2004. Since then, he has established his career with his mix of gospel, Christian, country and folk music. Let's begin. The first song on our show, There Is a Place.
There's a time for remembering, a time to recall the trials and the triumphs, the fears and the falls. There's a time to be grateful for the moments so blessed, the jewels of our memory, where love is our guest. There is gold that is gleaming in a past we once knew, in our tears and our laughter, 'twas love brought us through. There's a road we have traveled where sunlight has kissed, that carries us onwards when loved ones are missed.
Hello everybody, my name is Larissa Tormi. I'm a singer-songwriter originally from Russia, based in Ireland for many years, and I'm having an amazing journey meeting amazing musicians, some of them my friends, some of them becoming my friends as I go. And today I want to talk to singer, very talented person. I know for a few years now, I admire his job a lot, James Kilbane. And James, you're very welcome to my show. I'm glad you accepted my invitation. I really admire what you do. James is an amazing gospel singer. James, just
hello, Larissa, and good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to wherever you are, all your listeners there that'll be tuning in and watching. Hello to everybody. Thanks for having me, Larissa.
No
Delighted to be here.
James, just tell us a little bit, where are you based? Where are you in Ireland? I know you're
well, where I am now, I'm in our home in Achill Island. Just the Achill Island is on the west coast of Ireland, the biggest island off the west coast. Very rural, but it is a unique place and it's very special. I originally was growing up. I was born in London, England, a place called Harleston there. Some of your listeners might be familiar with it. I grew up in London until I was about 5-6 years old. And then we came back here to Achill. My mum and dad wanted me to go to school here on Achill Island. So they took my sister and I, Catherine, back here, and we settled back here. They were originally from Achill and they immigrated. They were immigrants, like so many Irish people immigrated to the UK. Mm-hmm. And they came back to put us to school, and I've grown up here ever since. And since that, back in 1989, then I married Christina, and we've two wonderful children, Diana and Daniel. Diana's 32 and Daniel's 30. So they're adults now. I'm involved in music since I was probably about 5 or 6. Mm-hmm. But I suppose I've been turning a euro from it from the age of about 13, 14. And I've been involved in music ever really kind of part-time and full-time ever since then. I got an opportunity back in '03 to go into an Irish television show. I was a bit long in the tooth, maybe at the time. I was 32, to be going into one of those, search for a star type of program, but I did, and I went all the way. Basically, I went all the way to the final, and that was an amazing experience, and gave me a national platform to kind of go out and establish. I guess it helped me create a market. And Larissa, as well, for my other joys, I was teaching for a while years ago before I took up music full time. And I would have recorded a lot of music since then, because as we were chatting off air, that's really, in a sense, people have to, if they believe in themselves now, they have to do the recording and the releasing, and so much of that side of the music now being through to into music and the releasing of the music that you believed in. So I very much wanted to get involved in gospel music. I felt there was a purpose around that. And at the same time, a lot of my gospel music leans into country music, which it proves to be very popular with people as well here. I kind of cross over. I call it country with a touch.
Absolutely.
And I'm also a sheep farmer. For all my work, I'm a sheep farmer. I'd have probably in around 150 head of sheep, and I farm that between a farm on the mainland and a farm here on Achill Island. So yeah.
That's amazing. I must say, I didn't know that, James, but because I live on the farm too, and I'm kind of farmer as well, on the beef farm, I look after.
Oh, you're beef. Yeah.
So I was saying, amazing. You see, I moved here from the big city, okay? And first I was saying to myself, oh, Larissa, your life is over. That's like retirement. It's nothing happening. And I was thinking, how am I going to manage that? But it's actually giving you such a good grounding to live on the farm and deal with animals.
Oh yeah! Look,
James?
before I came in, one of the things that before I came in, I had some of my technological work to do, as in the Facebook page, updating a few things, adjusting some. I do 2 nights a week. On a Thursday, I do Irish folk and country. I started it during the major lockdown here after January, and then I do gospel songs Sunday on a Sunday as well. So what I do then is I edit those. And if there's anything that I feel that went quite well, actually, some people might like to see that again. And I just maybe have 1 or 2 songs that, I might post up. Look, I'm here with the guitar, but look, a lot of people have responded over the months since January. So I'll keep that going. And like that, before we started this, about 2:00, I was back in because I had been just out checking sheep for an hour. So I drove around and made sure that everything was fine. And after I had done some of the technical work, and there's promotions to be done for Christmas, and a new single coming out hopefully for Christmas as well. I'll be releasing a Christmas song.
James, you really, really impressed me when I was like, you have amazing biography anyway, all your journey from the competition you got into, you're a star. And was it that time when who was judges in that competition? Tell me, do you remember who were the judges?
The great Phil Coulter. A fantastic man. Also, Louis Walsh.
Oh, wow.
The Swingally, and Linda Martin.
Okay, 3 amazing people. So
a couple of challenging people in it, but be that as it was, I dodged the bullets.
But there is always challenging people in music business, James. We won't say no more.
Look, you have to learn very quickly not to be naive and learn the politics of what you're dealing with and how you're facing. And there was a lot of politics going on. But I'd have to say, look, it was a fantastic experience. And I on several occasions, I've met Louis on different things, and he's always been respectful. And look, I have carved my way. I'm not... what is fame? What is superstardom? What is that really? I look on it now as making a difference to people in your music all around the world. And I think you have, and also there's many Irish artists, that people working in this industry here in Ireland that are not necessarily not they're not in a certain area that is as shall we say getting as much traction on maybe local radio station. However, with the journey of Facebook now and the journey of Spotify and how things have opened up in YouTube, things are reaching people far and wide all around the world.
Yeah, we can build our own destiny. But my outlook to the music, James, I'm sure yours too, because I am very spiritual as yourself as well. To get as much enjoyment as I can and share it with people. I mean, I try and very hard, even social media make you do that, not to get into any sort of competitions, because I believe we're all unique. We shouldn't compete. We should just express ourselves.
Absolutely. I worked, and in the biography, you've probably seen that I work with a man by the name of Steve Popovich, who was he was Serbian, he a wonderful man and a great music industry man. And I learned so much from his wisdom. And one of the key things that I learned from him was, James, he says, do you believe in what you've done? And I sat back, it was with the Divine Love album, which was really quite an early album from me back in 2005. Mm-hmm. And I says, yes, I do. Well, he says, I've listened to it as well, and I believe in it, but you have to believe in it, because he says, you're going to have people who want to take it away. They've listened to it and they want to break it down. It's very, very good. So you have to believe in it. You have to go with it, and you have to believe and know that there's people going to be waiting to stand in your way.
And very much in tune with what James just said, his next song, I Believe.
I believe for every drop of rain that falls, a flower grows, and I believe that somewhere in the darkest night a candle glows. I believe for everyone who goes astray, someone will come to show the way. Yes, I believe, oh, I believe above the storm, the smallest prayer will still be heard.
I'm pretty good with computers too, and I'm also got a background in public relations and marketing. So, like these things. Now, that doesn't necessarily endear you to everybody. Then it doesn't. If you're able to write press releases and you can get press releases into articles into papers, well, then the people in the PR industry they're not necessarily going to be your fan either, because
you're doing it well yourself, is it?
Well, it's not. You can't do everything, and I've really come to learn that you can't be. You certainly in this business, you won't get very far being a know-it-all.
No.
However, the reality is that you'll be left behind sometimes, because there's many an artist who in the industry who have talent, but they're not good with computers. Yeah. They'll often say, I go into the studio and record my music, my vocals, but I hate being in the studio. So they're not in the studio then when they're recording a lot of their music. Somebody else is doing it for them. A lot of the time, I'd say 90%, 95% of the time, I am in the studio. Whenever a voice or an instrument, or
when it's mixing, you mean during the mix process? Of course.
No. I'd be in the system all the way, because I'm not necessarily making the changes to the track at the time, but I certainly would be contributing. Yeah. I know how to sit back and say nothing and listen. and that's an important thing as well. But like all my albums, with probably the King of the Road album, but most of the other albums then, and maybe Divine Love, most of the albums after that, then I did have an input.
You can't.
I would be involved. And I look, then you learn, and you're learning and learning and learning. It's like, do you learn how to get around the Facebook situations and going live and keeping videos going and all of that kind of thing? Look, it is what it is, the industry, and I live in Achill Island. It's where we've raised our kids, and it's my home. I don't have a problem but I have been here, but I have come to realize that if I didn't get a record contract after Eurostar, I didn't sign any record contracts after Eurostar, with the exception of the Sony one for their release of their album, which was a short period of time. But after that, I wasn't in contract to anybody. So what do? You establish your own label, and we have a side of that in the United States, and I'm very much a part of it here. Well, I'm very much it here in Ireland, but you learn what you have to do. And James, having a bit of marketing and having a bit of public relations is a big help.
I'm going to cross a little bit and ask you a few things, because people don't know that James actually has an impressive amount of 13 recorded albums. 13, isn't it, James? 13.
There's 13 releases, yes. Yeah. Probably about 150 or 160 songs recorded.
And tell me, James, are you? Did you ever write anything, or you don't write? Do
yes,
you write
yes, I have. Yeah, there was. I have a number of friends in Nashville, and one of the great things about going to Nashville is you've got a very fine-tuned organization of writers and co-writers. Mm-hmm. Here in Ireland, I know of people in the same town that are nice songwriters, but it never crosses their mind to go and collaborate with other writers. There's a number of songs that I've wrote in the States, and you build a relationship also with those writers, and they want to pitch their other songs to you. Mm-hmm. So like you build up, and yes, I've wrote One Holy Night, Forgiveness, and I've been involved in Mary's House, Our Lady of Ephesus. That's hymn that I did, or I was involved in. I co-wrote Forgiveness and co-wrote One Holy Night, not Oh Holy Night, One Holy Night.
One angel said to Mary, "You will be the chosen one." And although she felt frightened, she said, "Let God's will be done." Bethlehem was the journey for Joseph and his young wife. A stable, a manger, a bright star in the sky, on what would be one holy night.
Those songs have done very respectably well, and particularly since lockdowns, and since I've had to learn how to get around the technology of things and be able to help to create videos, not just go out in recording a video. Physically, there would be Christian videos that I've been involved in putting together, and I'm very grateful to a number of the churches who recorded those videos, and they were very kind to allow me to use them. There's been a number of churches, particularly in the United States, where they created short films, and they came back to me and they were delighted as long as I used them for the furthering of the Word of God.
Tell me, James, I read about you that you had a dyslexia when you were younger, so you didn't really have the music education as it is, but you went to university then. You tell us a little bit about that.
How will I say this, Larissa? I'm somebody with a learning issue. It's called dyslexia. I feel that probably affected, might have leaned into it, my personality, in creating my personality in a different way. I don't see it negative because I'm quite a multitasker. Once I learned to type, I did VTUS course after I had a terrible accident. I had to go and retrain. I still have, and as an adult, my pelvis can be can go out because I had a bad accident, and it affects my walk sometimes. But and that's just a result of age and all of that, and it's just how it is if you have a car accident. But I had to go in to retrain, and I went to VTUS. It's a vocational training opportunity scheme for adults. Basically, anybody over 23 can go. It's still going, and it was a great service. Anyhow, I did a business studies course with that. I had no leaving cert, but I did a 2-year business studies course, and I also learned to type as a typist. So I'm 40 words a minute. What that did was, when I went to college then, every piece of coursework that I did, I had it typed.
Mm-hmm.
So that immediately gave me a kick ahead with my presentation and all of that. And I did a heritage and cultural studies. So in my childhood years going to school, I had a huge interest in history and legend and all history books. And I actually studied it up until I left. I was going to do it for my leaving cert, but I didn't do a leaving cert. I dropped out the year before. I dropped out of school. Mm-hmm. So look, once I learned to be able to present writing and coursework in a different way, that made a huge difference to me in continuous assessment. Mm-hmm. So a good percentage of my marks in college, in third level university, whatever term you want to use, GMIT was the college, Galway Mayo Institute of Technology. So yes, I worked my way.
This is amazing.
On national certificate, an honors diploma, and then I went and got an honors degree and that was my 4 years of study. And I was teaching then for 2 years after that. I wasn't quite sure whether I go into education full time. But lo and behold, in this very room one night, Christine says to me, as we were having a glass of wine, as you do, just nice and quietly, probably 10 or 11 o'clock. And she says, when are you going to go in for one of those shows? As in you're a star. So look, I says, if I go into it, will you be okay? And she says, of course I'll go into it. I says, what if I go all the way?
Yes.
I says, it's a possibility. If I go into that competition, I could go all the way to the final.
I think it was so fulfilling for him to be able to get up there and sing, like it was his dream. I know James has put 100% into everything he's done from the first day into this competition.
He'd be happy that he got this far, but he'd be kind of disappointed they didn't go all the way. I think we're all very proud of him, like that he's even got this far. So.
You believe it's not possible to make it on your own. So long since life without us, it feels so wrong. I never meant to hurt you, babe. It just wasn't meant to be. My heart will fall to pieces. My soul will search day and night. I'll fall over with the pain of losing you.
James Kilbane.
We told people about how much you done already, and we can send them to your full bio because it's amazing actually to read. But you said you on
Well, thank you.
It's amazing.
Sorry?
It's amazing, your bio, and what impressed me as well as so much achievement. You have so much achievement done as a musician that you mentioned in your bio, your family, your kids, which I never actually saw before in any musician's biography, and I find that's really heartwarming. I said, "Oh my God, this guy is really put together values important for him in this life." In his biography, it kind of shows you as a person, James. It's very impressive, honestly.
Well, Larissa, like the way I look at it, thanks very much. I am who I am, and the awkward, some people might say, well, he doesn't do this and he doesn't do that. I've had people turn to me and say, why have you wasted your career singing all that gospel music? Why aren't you doing the dancing and that we can go and see in a dance?
This is terrible thing to say.
I can do, look, I did that for a very, very long time, and you never lose how to get people motivated on a dance floor. And I would be well fit to do that. However, there is other work I have to do, and I feel I combine them all.
Of course, you can do both. Why not?
It doesn't necessarily, Larissa, you know yourself, it doesn't necessarily endear you then to everybody.
No.
And some of those people just aren't willing to work with me, and they sadly, in some ways, pull a lot of the strings in the media and the business here in Ireland. But that's okay. Let them off.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, the industry is so much more going global. And I always setting out wanted to create a type of music, record music that I didn't feel was going to compromise my home life. I want to travel to America, and I will do that again in the future. I want to travel to the UK. I want to go and sing in other countries, and I have done in the past, and I will do again.
Of course you will.
But at the same time, making sure that home life is good.
Next on the show, one of the most popular gospel songs, Amazing Grace, sung beautifully by James Kilbane.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. Through many dangers, toils and snares, I have already come. 'Twas grace had brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home.
But you do, just what you're talking about, you do you. You don't listen to what other people says to you, and God will bring you the way you should go. Don't try to repeat.
Larissa, I've been warned. I was very reluctant getting involved in the Facebook, Facebook Live and singing live. And I'd have to say I was inspired by probably 2 or 3. Johnny McAvoy inspired me with his lockdown approaches, right? Mm-hmm. A singer called Alison Moore in America. I'd have been a follower of her over the years. She's kind of country folk, country roots. Mm-hmm. And I've been a follower of her for years in her music. I like a lot of her stuff, but it was also quite rootsy. And then also Catherine Jenkins.
Oh,
Catherine
wow.
Jenkins did live concerts,
Did she?
but
I
it
didn't
wasn't the
listen to
Catherine.
it.
Yeah. Now, and you can do opera as well. I
I
know
know.
that you're country
I
singer,
know.
but you're a fine opera singer as well. But Larissa, she took a certain approach. It wasn't necessarily what she was singing. It was the approach of how she did it. So look, I came along, I bought one of these circle lights and a holder that I'm using now here in the sitting room. This is where I do everything. Did a little bit of training, and I'm still doing a bit of Facebook and social media training every couple of weeks. But anyway, I started to take an approach, and I have been warned by the people that reach to what I have done, the shows that I do twice a week, the Irish Folk and Country, what lets people know I don't just sing gospel music, I sing my culture. And also then on the Sunday, I do Gospel Song Sunday.
Yeah, okay.
So and it's very appropriate. But
So
the feedback has been massive. It's just really has, because people think, oh, you have 30 or 40 people on the evening. But by the end of the week, it's over. It's going up to nearly two. It goes to thousands.
Yeah,
It goes before I started recording a lot of Christian music, to do it the way I did it at the time, like when somebody got back in the day when CDs were the norm. They're in decline now, but they were the norm. A James Kilbane gospel CD from track number 1 to track number 15.
Mm-hmm.
There was no Fields of Athenry in between. There was no Annie song to glitzy it up a little bit. It was Christian all the way,
Okay.
top to bottom.
Okay.
And people thought I was crazy doing that, taking a huge risk. But I didn't. I believed that there was an element of that needed. And so that was my approach. So I was going against the current that was here. But I'd have to say the work of Enya from Donegal, she lives in the castle in Dublin. The work of Enya was a huge influence from the point of view, musically, yes, but from the point of view, Enya had never done a live show since 1984.
Yeah, I often think about her too, James. And she didn't do what everybody else did, and she's perfect, isn't she? She's so successful.
She still releases music. She still goes out there. Her music is there, and in a sense, I'm 5'11" in relation to what anything that's 3 minutes to 11, as all this environmental people say. We're in the last 60 seconds, and that's really my period of time in the industry. However, recording industry. However, there's music that I've recorded that I will never sing live.
Yeah,
never.
It's the same with me. James, before you proceed, we're going to the end now. I want to ask you, where did you record your albums? Is it different places or it's the same studio you use? I just want to know where it's all happened.
The reality is I record in a number of studios, but the fact is three of those studios don't exist anymore. Mm-hmm. The people that I recorded with, I feel it's more the people. So Sean, we called him Mud up in I can't think what his surname was, but it was James Blenner Hassett that took me to the studio, and that was just outside of Belfast in the north. We did King of the Road there.
Okay.
I worked with in Sun Street Studio in Tuam. That might still be there actually. Sun Street. A lot of the Saw Doctor stuff were done with in Sun Street. A man by the name of John Flatley, I worked very closely there with him, and that was on the Close to You album. So then I worked for 2 albums. 3 albums with James Blenner Hassett. Now, James had his own studio at the time in Roscommon, in Ballyfarnan, but that studio is gone now. James still is very much in the industry, but that studio's gone. Okay. So James worked with him and Bill Shanley. I started working with Bill Shanley then as well. And then Gavin Murphy very much came into my life. And Gavin had a studio up around Kilmeague, but now he's working in Prosperous, out of Prosperous. and he has a very small studio there. But it's small, but it's got a lot going on. Let's put it that way.
James, I just wanted to interfere here because I've worked with both Bill Shanley and Gavin Murphy. Gavin Murphy recorded all my songs on my first album in 2016. I actually started my music career with him. And I mean, I find him amazing. Nobody can replace him still now, the way he plays piano and kind of... So I find that amazing. When I was reading your biography, I said, oh my God, like James worked with the same people, and Gavin and Bill Shanley too. He's very talented, isn't he?
You see that's kind of part of. I was working with Bill before I was working with Gavin, but Bill suggested Gavin to me back in 2007.
Okay,
and we've done a lot of different things, different styles, different productions, different, different, just basically, as Gavin says, we created a lot of good music.
Yeah, well,
and the styles were very different. The styles and the approaches. There was country, there was Celtic, there was Irish, there was folk, there was ballads. Just. And another lady, Robin Ruddy, she works out of the Parlour Studio in Nashville, and Robin would be excellent as well. Maura Vranhook would be very much a part of the strings and the arrangements like that. So yeah, like it's just a building process, I suppose. But look, one of the key people for me in the majority of my recording life has been Gavin Murphy. Yeah.
Before I finish, James, well, I want to say how much I admire you as the singer, as a musician, as a person, to be yourself, to keep your goods together and be your own personality. And the most important, that you didn't get depressed or bored sitting in Ireland in there, sitting in your house, and you're learning. You reminded me actually, because I'm like that. I'm learning new stuff all the time. There's so much new things you can do, and you just doing it amazingly, James. You're amazing.
Well, I'm a great believer. There's lines of different scripture and things. Seek and you shall find, and knock and the door shall be opened unto you. If you don't knock on that door, you're not going to get anything. You're going to be left outside. And that's at the end of the day. And I'm no expert. Like, at the end of the day, I'm the quickest person to say I'm not the sharpest chisel in the box. And I love working with people. I really do want to say that I love working with people. Yeah. And I love working with positive, creative people that aren't kind of keeping things to them. They'll work with you, but they want to keep everything to themselves as well. That probably is a good capture of I like to work with people, and I like to be generous, and I like them being generous and cooperative with me too. So
you like to give, and you like to give, and you like to receive, isn't it?
Absolutely. But seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be opened unto you. And I'm a great believer as well of the story of the loaves and the fishes, because a lot of the time, and I have another saying as well, my dad said it many, many years ago, James, in this work that you're doing with the music, he said, you're going to have to cast your net wide to catch fish. He was a fisherman. You have to cast your net wide to catch fish. And isn't it strange now? That was probably back 2005 or 2006. We were coming from a concert up in Derry, I think it was, or Oma or someplace like that. And isn't it amazing now how we are actually casting our net out on the internet?
How wise it was, wasn't it? And it is a net, isn't it?
James, you got to cast your net wide to catch fish. And look, it's. I've got great encouragement, and I really, really do want to thank all the people on the internet who I've never met and maybe may never meet, who have given me great support and have become followers. And I'm so grateful to them, and I will continue to try and create the lovely music, create music that means something to people, but most of all for me and the work that I do, to give thanks and praise to God. And if it gives the giving glory to him brightens so many people's days, well, amen to that, and I'll keep going with it and keep doing it. And I'm grateful to the people like yourselves that create the platforms and give me an opportunity to speak to a public. And I'm so grateful, as you are, to the talented people that are so helpful to us.
Yes,
You know,
sharing.
our approach might be a little bit different. But there's so many people who are willing and happy and creative and cooperative to work with us, and I bless them as well. It's great to have people like them. I'm grateful to the people who are tuned in, and thanks very much, Larissa. I appreciate what you're doing.
James, thank you very much for your time. I really enjoyed our interview. And anytime anything happening, any new release, never hesitate to come back. I always will help. And let's keep in touch.
And not only we kept in touch with James, he invited me to his show on Shalom World TV, and he is going to sing with me in Toar Art Center 2nd of December at my Christmas show.
In a glow of a winter's eve, where dreams grow beyond make-believe, like the snow sky shine crystal clear, I adore this time of year. A symphony of starlight serenade sings to my soul in soft and sweetest ways. In every stranger's smile that meets my eye, the whisper of her will when passing by. In all I do, it's love I gently weave, in the glow of a winter's eve. In a glow of a winter's eve, faith will show why we must believe. Peace will bloom in a light of love. That's what my soul is dreaming of. A symphony of starlight serenades sings to my soul in soft and sweetest ways. In every stranger's smile that meets my eye, the whisper of goodwill when passing by. In all we do, it's love we gently weave, in the glow of a winter's eve. Symphony of starlight serenades sings to my soul in soft and sweetest ways. In every stranger's smile that meets my eye, the whisper of goodwill when passing by. In all we do, it's love we gently weave, in a glow of a winter's eve. Winter's in a glow of a winter's eve.